Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's All Metal Mode podcast with Gypsy, myself, Amanda Digger DeGauze, and special guest Whit Hill. Before we get started with the show, May's issue of Dirt Digest magazine is available at dirtdigestmagazine.com. Click current issue and you can either view it live or download it for later. Next up, Mike Hare has a new article on allmetalmode.com, and it's tips on gaining a permission. If you need some ideas, this is a great article to definitely check out. So go to allmetalmode.com. All right, on to the show. Hey, Gypsy, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How about you?
I am doing well. Doing well.
Good to hear. I know it's been crazy with all this quarantine still up there for a year. They're starting to lift a lot of the stuff here. So we're able to get out and dig more. So I'm hoping to get out and do some digging later this week, hopefully.
Nice.
How about you? Didn't you get to get out and dig?
I have. I just about every day. Today I did not. I had to do some chores and some other stuff I needed to do around here, but trying to check out some different areas, look around, check out. I know some permissions that I have that are now going to be coming up that I can actually get to. So I've been doing that. Found a pretty cool Boston and Maine Railroad button, which I thought was fully intact. It's a two-piece button, so the back is actually half gone, but the front is intact, so that's my first intact front Boston and Maine Railroad Company. It's a cuff button, and I found it underneath the root of a tree, so I was pretty excited.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's nice.
I saw that button. It was very pretty, a photo of it you had. It looked like it was in really good shape.
Yeah, the back is, I need to take, I have not updated. I've been slacking on the social media world, I guess. So I need to get back to trying to clean up stuff and post it when it happens. But yeah, I've been living in the moment and enjoying nature and just doing that.
Just trying to breathe and take a breath and take a rest. I know you've been busy with work too, so and everything else going on. So,
yes.
I know so it's nice to get out in nature and go for those walks, even if you don't get to detect much, but that's for sure.
Absolutely. And the birds are coming back. I mean, we had a porcupine out back, so I got to take pictures of him. And then, on my way home Friday from metal detecting, I came across a pretty good-sized snapping turtle and took a couple pictures of him. Like, it's not out of the ordinary. We usually have porcupines and skunks and possums in our yard. And the snapping turtle was right near water, so no real, I know there's a bear in our area, so I've been keeping tabs on that too, because I don't want to go metal detecting in an area where a bear might come up.
Right. Oh, gosh.
I don't think my 9mm will work.
You'd probably try to pull it out and get too scared. Or something. That'd be my luck or something.
Well, at the same time, I understand it's their habitat. So, I'm going into their area. So I'd feel really bad, too.
True.
So.
Right. True. That's crazy. I think I sent you a photo today. I got a new drone.
Ooh.
I'm going to hopefully try it out this week. So I know Stephen Mason is in the chat. He just got one this week and tested it as well. But I'm hoping to use it occasionally when I'm out on those big really big permissions where there's so much ground to cover, to kind of maybe fly it out and survey the area, if there's any like stones or, old shimmy stacks, that type of thing, any signs of old foundations. Also, I want to create a new, like a video part for my YouTube channel using the drone. So we'll see how that works, if I can figure it out with all this new technology. So we'll see.
That's awesome, though.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Sounds it. It sounds.
So, we've got a very special guest tonight. I'm really excited. I have her CD, and of course, her CD, her music on the CD is about our favorite pastime. So, what better way to celebrate it? And I sometimes just pop it in my car and just listen, and love the music. I've shared it with all of my family. They probably got tired of me bugging them, oh, listen to this. But they all were very impressed. And I know you've heard some of her music as well, so I'm really excited about getting to officially meet her tonight and interview her. So you want to go ahead and introduce our guest?
Yeah, so we have our special guest, Whit Hill. Before she starts chatting with us a little bit, I'm going to play a snippet from I Dug It Up. Hopefully you can all hear it okay. Be forewarned, this is the first time I've tried this live, so.
Out in a field with my ears peeled. All alone, I got a good tone. Silver dollar, you're so sweet. I'm gonna take you home with me. I dug it up for my baby. But he doesn't want it, no. He says, go, wash your hands. Look what I found underground for my baby. But he doesn't want it, no. 'Cause I dug it up.
All right, so welcome to the show, Whit Hill. Yay!
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I'm realizing, I'm outside now. Is it too blowy? Should I go back in?
No, I don't hear any.
I don't hear any wind or anything, so I think you're fine for now.
Okay, good.
I could not hear it, so y'all got to hear it was like silent on my side. I don't know if it was on Whit's side, but
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it either, but I've heard it many times before.
Right. So, Whit, how did you get started in the metal detecting, and then how did you get, started producing a record and all that? How did that all come about?
Wow.
That's a loaded question.
Big question.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of information there. I was always, I've heard you both on previous podcasts talking about how, or maybe it was one of your guests talking about, we're just kind of the people who are wired to look down on the ground and look for stuff. I've always been that way since I was a kid. I was, picking up seashells, and I grew up in New York City, and I would always look for money on the street, and always interested in what was under the dirt. Like I'd be in Central Park, and I was a little kid, and I'd say, hey, everybody, let's form an archaeology club and dig up stuff. And they'd look at me like I was insane. And then somehow, I guess I kind of knew about metal detecting, but, life intruded and I just never did it. and I could kick myself for all the great places I've been in my life that I didn't have a metal detector. But I lived in Michigan for a long time, raised my kids there, and then we moved to Nashville 12 years ago. And suddenly I was overcome with a desire to have a metal detector, and I dropped a lot of hints to the important people in my life, and they did not deliver. So I just went on Craigslist, and I found one. I found a Tesora Cibola, and I used one, and I bought it from a guy in a gas station. And he showed me, in like
Wow.
a minute how to use it, and that was the beginning. And gosh, that's been 10 years or so. And then I joined the Middle Tennessee Metal Detecting Club, and I walked in on my first visit there, and there was a woman there. We were like the only women in the room, as you know. And she came up to me and said, "Are you by yourself? Would you sit with me?" And I said, "Of course." And her name was Cheryl Clark, and we became digging buddies. And we had hundreds of incredible adventures. And she's since moved to Florida, which is very sad. But we just dove in and started. We made a lot of mistakes. Rookie mistakes.
We all do.
Yeah, like getting run out of town with a police escort, that kind of mistake. That was, but it was a great spot. I still dream about that spot. But anyway, we should not have gone there. And I don't know, it's just, I've spent the last 10 years, every possible moment I can, metal detecting. I now have 4 machines. I've found so much cool stuff, thousands of amazing and not so amazing things, lots of trash. But I've never been really goal-oriented about it. I'm one of those people, I just love the Zen feeling of it. It calms me down. I'm a pretty agitated person, kind of ADD and all over the map, and it is the most calming activity for me. I don't know if you feel that way too, but I know I'm not the only one. Other people have talked about that. When I'm done metal detecting after 6 or 7 hours on a beautiful day, I come home, I feel like I've been on a 2-week vacation. I'm just so relaxed. I'm sore and dirty, but I'm very relaxed.
So true. I think it is a therapy for a lot of us. It's a type of therapy. It's a type of getaway. You're in your own little world. You're digging amazing things. And, some days you do come away with just trash and nothing really great to show for. But you've been out in nature on an adventure, and it just gives so much. This hobby really just gives so much back.
I absolutely agree. I completely agree. Yeah, I've never had a hobby before. I always, was always really busy with life and all the things that I've done, and but I never had a hobby ever, which is surprising to me. But this has really taken over in a good way. I think it's really healthy, and I've met some wonderful people and had great adventures, and I'm just always looking for permissions. Driving around, there's a likely lawn.
Right.
I love being in the woods and stuff, but I also happen, just by chance, to live in a really surprisingly historic neighborhood. The houses are only from maybe the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. But this part of Nashville is an area where people have lived since, European Americans have lived here since the 1700s, and before that, Native American people lived in this area. I've dug, arrowhead kind of stuff out of my garden, and then I did colonial stuff, right, just right around the corner in a random yard, and there's colonial stuff in there. So that's fascinating, and it's all mixed together with the toys and the pennies and the chopped up aluminum cans and everything else that we find. And I find that so interesting, that all the layers of history that get all jumbled up together in the dirt.
Oh, yeah. It really is, and it's a blessing that you live in that type of area where you can find that type of stuff. Unfortunately, there's not any colonial stuff down where I live.
Right.
But up there where Amanda lives, she gets to dig a lot of that. And
I bet.
Hoping, we were supposed to be taking a trip. I was supposed to have been flying back. Was it yesterday, Amanda?
Saturday.
I can't remember.
Saturday.
We had a big metal detecting, dump digging trip all planned, and of course this virus stuff messed it all up, but we weren't able to do that. But hopefully the fall, fingers crossed, we're going to try to do that again. But I only met Amanda basically through the podcast, so it's been a blessing to know someone, another digger way up north that we can get together and have fun. And I totally understand how much devastating that must have been with your digging partner moving to Florida. But that must have been rough.
Yeah, I really miss her, and now she's doing a lot of beach digging, and right. I'm kind of without a partner. Hint, hint. Anybody listening in Nashville? So I'm going out by myself, which is fine. It's fine, but it's not as fun. It's different, and we really looked out for each other. We went places together that I would not go alone. So this is something for listeners. We know this, but I don't know how much the men listening are aware of how different it is for us as women metal detectorists. It's just a whole other thing. We have a whole other layer of concern that we have to take into consideration, and that's our safety out there. And so there's places I don't go, or I'm very, very watchful if I do.
It's so true, and I often go out alone so much where I live. And Mike Hare, he's the founder of All Metal Mode Podcast. He's on Tuesday night, and he was getting on to me this week about getting out alone. He said, "Gypsy, you really need to carry a gun," and this and that and the other. And I'm like, well, I have my weapons. But he was giving me a rough time and about all that. But I too many times don't have a digging partner. Excuse me, where I live either. So it's scary where I live, and a lot of times some of the areas I go to are pretty remote. And if I were to fall off a ledge or, do something, like that as well, there's other dangers as well being out by yourself.
Exactly.
For all of us. And anyway, it's scary. So I hope y'all remember she lives in the in Nashville, Tennessee. So if you know anyone in that area, she would love to maybe find a new dating partner. So if anybody knows anybody in that area,
give me a holler.
I'd say I'd be down there in a couple of hours, but
Come on
hopefully soon.
Right.
So you said you started with a Tesoro. What machine are you using now, or what machines are you using?
I'm really only using one. I'm using my Fisher F75, which I got probably maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I used the Tesoro, which is, a really base model machine, but oh my God, it's a powerhouse. It's so deep, and there's no screen, so it's all audio. And I'm really glad that I started with that because it trained my ear. And so I'm grateful that I started with that. And then we had a metal detecting mentor named Doug Drake, who had been detecting here his whole life, and he's since passed away. And he kind of took me and Cheryl under his wing and took us to lots of places and taught us a lot. And he had another Tesoro, and I'm trying to think which one it was. I can't remember which model it was, but it did have a digital display, kind of rudimentary. And so I bought that one from him, and I used that for a long time. Also, great machine. And then I bought the Fisher, and it's so light, and it's so precise, and it's just like an extension of my arm. Mm-hmm. I've since then I knew I was going out east to visit my dad, and we were going to have a summer vacation in Cape May, New Jersey, which is definitely a historic area. So I wanted to have a good water machine. The Fisher, you really can't take that in the water. I tried and found out that's not a good idea. But so I bought the MX Sport, and it's I haven't really mastered doing it in the water. I just, for a variety of reasons, the waves were too big and things like that. And boy, I'm also so shy. I don't like metal detecting where tons of people are staring at me. So it ended up not being that fun in the water. It was just not fun. So I took it into some farm fields and places that I could get permission out in New Jersey. And I found stuff. It works great, but it's heavier. It's so much heavier than the Fisher. Tired my arm out. And so I don't use that as much as I thought I would, but I'm glad to have a good, solid, dedicated machine for water detecting. And I've used it also up, we go to Michigan frequently, and I used it last summer in Lake Michigan.
That's actually was my second machine, is the MX Sport. And
really?
Yeah, it is a little bit heavier, but I found that so in the winter when our ground, so at certain times our ground does freeze here, even the woods.
Yeah.
That
right.
I would swing it still around the house, so that way I wouldn't lose its exercise. But if you ever need help with any of the water settings or anything, you can give me a shout.
I will do it. I will do that for sure. It's a whole other learning curve, and I'm so in sync with my Fisher. It's just so effortless for me after all this time that I tend to not use the MX, particularly on land. I used it a couple of weeks ago. The Fisher was I don't know what, it was overloading for some reason. I don't know what happened. The coil might have a tiny crack or something, but it hadn't overloaded the day before, and it didn't overload the next day. But the one day that I had the amazing permission, it was not usable. So I used this. I had the Sport with me and used it. That was great. Found cool stuff.
Yeah, but when you have your set machine that you know and are so used to, that must have been a bummer.
Yeah, I was just so relieved I had a backup.
True.
Oh my gosh.
True.
I drove a long way.
Yeah, you always want to have a backup, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Several backups.
Absolutely.
So you started with the Tesoro. Was there one particular find with that machine that really stuck out, that kind of got you even more motivated?
So many finds that it's just stunning to me. When you first buy a machine, I don't know about everybody else, but you go in your backyard, if you have a backyard. And I walked out my back door into my backyard, and I dug a musket ball. And
wow.
What is this? I showed my husband. He's like, "What? It's like a marble, but it's made out of lead. What could it be?" And we just had no idea. And then I went a few more steps further, and I got a 69 caliber mini ball from the Civil War. And
Wow.
I know, and I mean, it was right outside my back door. And then it just kind of went on from there. And then, of course, I started just going down the street and hitting yard after yard. And, you know, I dug toys, and I dug in my next door neighbor, I found a Civil War uniform button, which I can't believe I'm going to say this publicly, but I was washing it in the sink and it went down the drain. So it's in the trap of my sink, I'm sure, somewhere. But
right.
Anyway, but I was pretty excited about that. And then there were so many. Like I said, I live in an area that is pretty historic, and once I started learning the history of my neighborhood, I realized what a gold mine it was. Not in terms of gold. I haven't found a lot of gold, but everyone always asks me, what's the best thing you've ever found? And I honestly can't say, because there's just been so many that are so fun and exciting and thrilling. But I think the one that always comes to mind is, this was also maybe a 1-minute drive from my house. And the Cumberland River runs through Nashville, and my neighborhood is near the river, and we don't live on the bluff overlooking the river. That would be nice, but it's the bluff is very close. And this wonderful man said I could metal detect his property anytime. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. And you know, he's just not picky about his lawn. It's a beautiful lawn, but it's not meticulous. And so that's still, after, 6 or 7 years, that's my go-to lawn. I still pull stuff out of there. Anyway, it was in the early days of my detecting that lawn, and I had found colonial flat buttons there, quite a few. Cheryl dug a cut real. I can't remember which one, but she found a silver cut real. So we were finding great stuff in this yard. And then I pulled something out, and I thought it was a colonial flat button that had broken in half, because it was a perfect semicircle, right? And I just threw it. I said, oh, darn, this button's broken. I threw it in my bag, and I got it home, and I started just washing it under water very gently, and I realized it was not a button. And as I rubbed it, I started seeing patterns on this thing that I couldn't identify, and it looked like some maybe Asian language. I didn't know what it was. So I took pictures of it, and I posted it on Coin Talk, which is my go-to for coin, because I don't know anything about coins. And it is a India Bengal presidency pice, P-I-C-E, and it's circa about 1810. So it's the language I was looking at is Persian. And I just thought, what is this doing here? How did this get here? And that ended up being another song on my record called How'd This Get Here? Because, I mean, how many times have we thought that?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
When we dig something up that doesn't belong, it's like, what? How did this get here? And you just want to know the story so bad. I want to know who dropped that thing. So anyway, that's one of my favorite finds.
Oh, I love that. That is amazing. You do. I mean, so many times we get these surprises, and we're like, "What is this? And how did it get there?" And is that the same? Is that the same song that about the belt buckle and pants falling down?
Yes.
That is hilarious.
How did it get here? Right. I should have sent you that one. I forgot. And later on, I was like, oh, I should have sent them How'd This Get Here? But people can listen to it on my website if they want.
Right. So for those of you that don't know or that might have missed our introduction, Whit Hill has produced a CD about metal detecting, and these songs have been inspired. I guess, not only by her experiences, but through experiences of other detecting friends and stuff. And you wrote most of the songs on there, correct?
Yes, two of them I wrote with other people. Actually, Butch Holcomb from American Digger magazine, he sent me the lyrics for Aluminum Foiled Again, and I just set it to music. So that's a co-write with Butch. And then I wrote Triune, which is a song about a bullet. It's a song that's actually from the perspective of a bullet, a carved bullet, as if the bullet is singing the song. And I wrote that with my friend Betty Sue, who's an amazing songwriter in Austin, Texas.
Oh, really?
But everything else I wrote.
Wow. Yeah, I really like that Foiled Again song, but I guess a song that, I mean, and I say that a lot when I dig a piece of foil. And,
yeah, really.
You know, Foiled Again, you know. But another one of my favorites that you have is the can claw. Because can claw, you know, I just love how you in that song, you know, talk about, you know, the tractor, you know, chewing it up or whatever, you know, and it's so true. I mean, lawnmowers, tractors, and, you know, however, you know, how all that gets spread around and you find that can claw. And I always think about that song.
So you know, a piece of can,
good.
It sounds so nice and clear and clean. It's like, oh, this is going to be great. Oh, no, you're so disappointed. And then you get a little mad. I get mad.
Yeah. I get mad at whoever threw that can down years ago or however long, you know.
That's right.
Litter bugs, they make me mad.
Yep.
So our time is flying by pretty fast. So I'm going to let Amanda's got a list of standard questions that we ask a lot of our people. Okay. So I'm going to let her see if she'll ask a few, because I tend to ramble, sorry.
So Whit, you said you know, we're always the constant like treasure hunters, looking around, looking at the ground, looking for different things that we might spot. Is there any other types of treasure hunting that you do other than metal detecting? Like
yard sales.
Yard sales, awesome.
Oh yeah, yard sales for sure. I have. Actually, it was the yard next to the yard where I dug the Persian coin. There was a yard sale there one time, and there was the most beautiful dresser, maple. I don't know my wood, but I think it's a maple dresser with a mirror. Oh, it's like the nicest piece of furniture I've ever seen, and it was $90. And the guy said that it was from a house that belonged to Dolly Parton. So I said, yes, please.
What?
And so I have Dolly Parton's dresser in my
I'm
so
bedroom. Jealous. That is so cool. She's like my...
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's, anything that's like picking and yard sales and Salvation Army, anything like that. Just always looking. I try and control it because it gets out of control, you know. I have one room in my house. It's just, it's sort of a reflection of my brain. And it's just kind of messy, but kind of cool, and lots of little things all over the place. And I don't have my finds displayed properly or organized properly. I would like to, but I just haven't quite gotten around to it.
Have you ever done like estate sales?
Oh yeah, that's what I mean by yard sales, estate sales, anything like that. I love those. I just love picking around, and it's the same thing. You pick up something, you know, that people have died, and the house is empty, and it's sad, you know, and then you find something, and I'm going to bring this into my house, and it's going to live on here at my house. So it doesn't make any sense. It's just things. and eventually it's going to end up at your own yard sale. You're dead and gone because your kids don't want it. Tell you that.
Yeah, I'm already.
Nobody in my family shares this. No one in my family likes this whole thing with finding stuff and yard sales and metal detecting. They think I'm, well, you know. My kids are tolerant, but nobody's into it. Just me.
That's sad.
It is sad. It's sad. Okay. I have friends. And I like being by myself. It's fine.
So
again, it's kind of therapy. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you said you've done, you've had yards that you hunt in, and you've done the beaches. What is your favorite type of area to detect, though?
That's a really good question. I love a good mowed suburban lawn in a historic area where the homeowner says, sure, go for it. I'll be inside, or you can come anytime. That's, for me, primo. A nice, safe, out in the open, mowed lawn where I can pull my car up and get out and they leave me alone. What the worst is when you get a house like that and the homeowner just follows you around and talks to you the whole time and stares at you. Don't like it.
That drives me crazy.
Don't like it. Not why I go and I leave. I just can't do that. It's like, I gotta hurt my back. I think I have to go home. So, but I also, I have a new permission, which is in a great area. It's about, and this is the one for a couple of weeks ago where the fisher didn't work. It's a standing permission. It's about 300 acres in prime Civil War area. I mean, first of all, 300 acres. I mean, where do you even start?
Right?
Where do you even start? And it's just me, So I've gone there once. I'm going to go back, but it's a little overwhelming. But that also is pretty ideal. It's mowed because they do dirt bike racing in there. So it's 300 mowed, not all of it, some of it's forest, but lots of fields and mowed areas. And so I went once, really did not find anything. But I will go back because I did not even scratch the surface.
Oh, yeah, you got so many acres to play on there.
Yeah, and it's safe. I know it's safe. It's enclosed. The people know I'm there, and they gave me a standing permission. And I know there's something in there, but I just haven't, it's one person and 300 acres. As Doug Drake used to say, it's a big old country and a little bitty coil.
Right. Oh, that's true. So, is there a certain story, maybe one of your adventures, that you would like to share with us? Maybe something funny or crazy or weird or exciting?
I have a weird one.
Okay.
I have a very weird one. Okay. I was with Cheryl. This is probably 5 years ago. We were down south of Nashville, off of Nolensville Road, on a construction site. And let me tell you, I used to be a fearful person and not a rule breaker. And I would not have ever gone onto a construction site. Okay, this is not me. But now I go on a construction site without even thinking about it. Anyway, there were bulldozers there. The people were totally cool with us being there, and we were just like dodging the bulldozers, and there was so much good stuff. And then they all went home, and we were by ourselves. And I said to Cheryl, I'm going to go, it was a big, partially excavated field, and around it were trees, a tree line. where the property ended. And I said, there was a big, big old tree. And I thought that might be a tree where a house had been. You know, as you do, you check out the big trees sometimes. Said, Cheryl, I'm going to go over to that tree over there on the edge and just, detect around the base of that tree. And she said, don't go over there. There's going to be so many snakes in there. And I said, oh, well, I'm not scared of snakes. I don't really care. But I thought, all right, I'm not going to do it. I won't go. And about maybe 1 minute later, we heard this huge crack and a crash. And a massive branch from that tree fell right onto where I would have been if she had not told me not to go there. And we were dumbstruck. We just stared at each other. And that was very strange. And I always said Cheryl Clark saved my life that day.
Definitely.
Because of her her fear of snakes.
And who knows, maybe it was a little bit of that sixth sense, that intuition,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we had lots of really, it's a cool story, and we just had lots of little things. And I feel like other detectorists have similar stories. There's something that's always felt kind of, I know this is silly, it just feels a little bit magical to me. Like you're connected to a previous time in a way that you can't quite express to people who don't understand.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And, well, that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I know.
But, yeah, I like that, definitely. Let's see, Amanda, you got another question?
Yeah, you had said that you're, the goal, or you're not really goal orientated, or, but there's certain things, like, is there anything that you have yet to find that you kind of are looking forward to? I know some people call it a bucket list, which is, yay.
Yeah, I thought you might ask me that, and I thought about it, and I can't say that there is.
No.
I really just, I found a belt plate. I found a U.S. belt plate.
Wow.
That's a bucket list for lots of people, and it was cool. I'm glad I found it. I love it. It's amazing. I can't believe I found it. But, it's not the goal of my life. A lot of the people, most, the men, they're all men who do this pretty much in Nashville anyway. I know very, very few women, if any, anymore, who do it. And they're really, really obsessed with the Civil War stuff. And that's cool. I love it. It's fascinating to find. But I don't research it. I don't obsess about it. I don't only want to find bullets. And I think, like on the Women Diggers Facebook pages that they have, there's a Women Diggers site that I'm a member of, and I'm sure there are others as well. I think what's cool about Women Diggers is that we celebrate lots of things that we find. We take pictures of the pennies. We take pictures of, just a random crap you dig out of the ground. I put it on colored paper and make awesome little displays and photograph it and put it on Facebook because it's fun. And
it is.
I noticed that the guys, they don't ever show that stuff. They only show the bullets and the buckles and just the manly man stuff. And I just think it's funny that I'll speak for myself. I just approach it differently. And I'm not that goal oriented. It does not have to be about the war. I love the little toy cars. I love the toy cars.
Oh man, yeah, me too. And Amanda and I, we have a thing for buttons. So we love finding the buttons. We love finding the marbles.
Yes.
The toys, the toy soldiers, toy cars. That sort of thing And I know some people don't get excited over a button. I mean, to me, it doesn't even have to be military.
Right. No, I love the buttons too.
And I love finding, and I know Amanda does too, is like little fancy old costume jewelry and stuff. That's always fun to find.
Absolutely. You think about because you think about the woman who wore it, and you wonder who she was. I love that. I love that the last person who touched that, lived 100, 150, 200 years ago. I don't know, that's kind of dreamy. I'll tell you about one other little find. Also, actually, same yard where I found the Persian coin. I had detected every inch of that yard. It's a big yard, and I've detected every inch because I've been going there 6 years. And one day I said, yeah, I'm just going to go out by the mailbox. That's just going to be trash. There's been road work, and it's just going to be junk, and that has been bulldozed, and But what do I have to lose? And I got a good signal, and I pulled out a pair of colonial cufflinks that were still clasped together, so they're joined together, and they have a little tiny picture, a little engraving of a fox jumping over a log, and they say "Tally-o" on the top.
Oh,
have you seen those?
Yeah,
they're found all along the eastern seaboard in colonial areas.
John
so cool.
John had found
fine.
Yeah, John had found half of one, and I was like, Tally-o, what? But you found them connected. That's so cool.
I know, and I could so picture the muslin shirt sleeve that they once had been on. I don't know. It's just, and it was in the most unexpected place. It was out by the road, by the mailbox, and it's it's a road, not a busy road, but fairly busy road, and there's been road work and construction and all that out there, and the fact, and it wasn't even deep. Just
wow.
I don't know. I just love that. Now you're making me want to go digging right now.
Right now, right?
Right now.
That's funny. And every time you get a new machine and you want to go test it out, it's always fun to go back over, those places that you've dug a million times, to test those machines out, because different machines do different things, and different coils, different, so it's always,
that's true.
You're always fun to miss, go back and be surprised, what you missed.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I have the smaller coil for the Fisher, and I've never used it.
Oh, really? Yeah, you need to try that out. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but Amanda is part of the White field team, so she can definitely help you with any questions with your White's machine that you may have, or any pointers or anything that you might need there.
That sounds great. Cheryl always used a White for years. She used a White's machine and loved it. That was her go-to.
Yeah.
The smaller coil, though, if you switch that up when you're going into yards that you've already hit, it's gonna be an entirely new.
It's gonna be a game changer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
I have to do it. All right. I'm inspired. You've inspired me.
And it always makes your your hose detector lighter, easier to swing, get into those tight places.
Right.
So the small coils, I love hunting with the small coils too. I usually keep one on the small coil on my AT Pro. I keep different sizes on different machines. And then that way when I want to switch, so I don't have to switch out the coil every time because I'm a little lazy.
Right. That's okay. I will do it.
That's something that you could do that. Also, wanted to let you know we also have several ladies in the chat tonight. We have Barb, I think she's still with us. We have Deej from Digging with Deej YouTube. We have Nancy. She has a YouTube channel as well. So just wanted to point that out.
Well, welcome. Thanks for being here, Lady Diggers.
So, yeah, there's a few more questions that we'd like to ask, before we close the show, because we're nearing the end, but I have totally enjoyed all this, so we definitely need to have you back. I feel like tonight's time was really, it feels like time has flown by, but let me ask this, and then what we'll do after I ask, we usually ask one final funny question that we'll surprise you with, and then we can close it with one of your songs. But if you could detect anywhere in the world with no restrictions, no regulations, where would you go? Where would you want to go?
Can I pick two?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that one place that we got run off of, back when we were rookies, we were digging a bullet every step. So I would like to go. I have fantasized about going back there, like on Christmas Eve. At midnight, when no one will be around, and somebody would have to drop me off, and I'd have to hike up there by myself, and on a moonless night. But I'm not going to do that. Okay. So anyway, that would be a bucket list place to go. And then I've always wanted to go to England, but I don't want to go on an organized dig. I'm not into organized digs. I'm not into digs where they plant stuff. I want to go to England. I went to England as a child, and I really, really loved it. Half of my ancestry is English from the Chester region. And then, but I would want to go there and like live for 6 months and have rich friends with miles and miles of untouched virgin land. And they would let me dig it. That is my fantasy. I know, never going to happen, but a girl can dream.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, I could win Powerball and then buy a mansion or a kingdom over there, and take all of us.
No, castle. That sounds good. With 2,000 acres that come with it. And we'll just move in with you, and we'll protect the rest of our life.
Oh, it sounds so fun.
Steve, before Amanda asks that last question, we play another one of your songs. We have a question in chat, and Steve Adams says, "Ask Whit who her college roommate was."
Thanks, Steve. Oh, yes. This always seems to come up. It's apropos of nothing. It has nothing to do with metal detecting at all. But I was when I went to the University of Michigan as a dance major. I've been a dancer and choreographer and dance teacher all my life. And I found myself in need of a roommate for this apartment that I was living in, and another young woman in the dance department was named Madonna Ciccone, and she became my roommate. We were like besties for a year, and then she went off to New York City and became the most famous woman in the world.
Holy cow. Wow. Oh my gosh.
But I don't, it's not, we lost touch, and it's not, there's just really no more to the story. I mean, I did write a book called Not About Madonna, which is sort of, tells that story, but tells many other stories as well about my life as an artist and some other sort of weird, coincidental connections that I had with Madonna. So anyway, neither here nor there.
Really? Well, it's interesting, though. Wow, that's fascinating. And then you also have Dolly Parton's dresser, so that
there you go. Yeah. Now that is my claim to fame right there. That's much more my claim to fame than being roommates with Madonna.
Man, wow.
So what is this famous last question?
I'm going to let Amanda ask that one.
All right. If you could dress up as a superhero to go metal detecting, who would you be and why?
Like a famous superhero or just a made-up superhero?
Well, you can make it up, but if you had this, maybe an actual superpower that went with this costume, while you were out metal detecting, some people kind of add that with it. It's totally, it's your thing. We just kind of throw that out. It's not a trick question or anything. It's just for fun.
Yeah. I love that question. I mean, the first thing that, of course, comes to mind is to be invisible and to be able to see everything that's under the ground. But I'm going to put that aside because that's too obvious. I would love to be a superhero who, when they dig something out of the ground, they can immediately see the person who dropped it. And that person comes and stands in front of you and you can talk to them for a minute and then they disappear.
That would be great. I have a feeling there's another person in the chat, Mike Fuson, and I actually were talking about that last week. And if you could pick up an item and know the person who had it in the history, and I'm like, it would also be very sad. But actually having the person talk to you, it would be pretty fantastic.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be able to walk onto a commission or a property and, like, be able to look into a time warp thing and see what it looked like back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've always, my dad and I, when he goes digging with me, we always joke about that. Oh, if only we could see, where this house stood and this and that and the other and what things looked like back then. And I
know exactly what you mean. I grew up in Manhattan, in the middle of New York City, the most built-up part of New York City, Midtown Manhattan. And even as a small child, I was so aware that we were on an island, and I thought all the time about what it would have looked like before all these buildings got here. And I just always wanted the buildings to go away so that I could be on the land as it used to be, 250 years ago. I was obsessed with it and still am. And there's now their website where you can see what Manhattan looks like. Yeah.
But that's interesting that you were aware that at such a young age. I mean, that says a lot about you, that you were already in tune for the historical, future.
Absolutely.
That you had.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One other thing that I really liked about what you said before you said that about the invisible thing, I just got this mental image of a detector out in the field swinging by itself and digging, and nobody's there. Sorry, I just had to.
That is a scary image. That would be really cool.
There's a ghost out there digging. Nobody would mess with you.
They would not mess with you, no.
Well, this has been a wonderful time this evening. I've had a blast getting to know you, Whit, and I really enjoyed everything. We definitely need to have you back we want to kind of cut it off around this time tonight because there is another podcast that a lot of people are going to be heading to because of the new launch of the new Garrett Apex, which I should be getting mine this week to start testing. So I'm super excited about that. And
how do you get to be a tester?
Kind of like Amanda. Well, I've been detecting now for 22 years.
Okay.
And I've used about every brand out there on the market, except for some of the newer machines that are coming into on the market. But I started a YouTube channel about 3 years ago, and it's really helped me branch off into my metal detecting and was able to start being a field tester for Garrett metal detectors, just like Amanda being a field tester for White. So some of it, we've just really, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're.
Cool.
I'm just grateful. That's all I can say. But we'd definitely like to have you back in the future, and we will go ahead and say good night to everyone. And then after everyone says good night, I know Amanda's got it all set up to play another one of your songs. And Thanks again for being with us tonight. We totally appreciate you being here and being with us. It's been a blast.
Thank you so much for asking me. I had a really great time. You both are so fun to talk to. And I just want to also say that this last song that you're going to play a part of, it's called Dig That Dime Daddy. And when I was making the record, I put the word out on social media that I was looking for people's stories. And this is a true story. I know you're not playing the whole thing, but the song comes from a father-daughter digging team in South Carolina, I believe. And it's a true story about an amazing find that she had and how her dad responded to it. So that goes out to them.
Awesome. What an awesome story. Well, thanks again, and wishing you all a great night. One other thing, I didn't realize Katie, another female, was in the chat tonight. Just wanted to point that out. Katie, sorry I didn't see you there. Hello. And you all have a great night. Good night, all.
Thanks so much, everybody.
All right, here is Whit Hill's song, a portion of Dig That Dime Daddy.
Held up a silver Mercury and dance around. Little girl, you done got sunk. Dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime. Daddy, dig that dime. Dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime. Daddy, dig that dime. Ain't nothing like silver. It's every digger's delight. Cool and brilliant, shining bright like a moon in a midnight sky. But my British badge brought me $10,000. His dime was worth just one. Now every time we hunt, I sing this song, and my daddy, he sings along. Dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime. Dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime, daddy, dig that dime.
All right. Thank you all and have a wonderful Monday evening.